Cooperation is a powerful lever that increases our strength. The Mondragon Cooperative Experience. The cooperative system in primitive societies. Back in the Paleolithic period, primitive man saw the advantages of association. A solitary hunter's chances increased when he went hunting in a group. Gatherers were more successful if they worked together, and alliances between family groups, constituting the first tribal clans, increased the capability for defense against other groups. In the dawn of history, Baroja speaks about the people of Roman Spain, the Vaxians, the Vascons, the Alagetes, who, especially in times of harvesting and gathering, shared the work on a communal basis and had a certain cooperative organization for developing their utensils and crafts. On the basis of these experiences, man discovered very early on, in an empirical way, the idea of united we stand, and that cooperation is efficient. The modern cooperative system, by adding the concept of solidarity to cooperation, would provide an ethical dimension to this efficiency. The modern cooperative movement. The roots of the modern cooperative movement lie in the first half of the 19th century. This was the time when there were a number of thinkers, like Charles Fourier, Saint-Simon, and above all, Robert Owen, who provided the substance necessary for the intellectual construction of cooperative thought. The initiative was a great social advance in a time of poverty, of human overcrowding in the early decades of industrialization, of exploitation of the proletariat with working days of 12 and 14 hours, and the indiscriminate use of children to do adult work. In 1844, 28 workers from the textile industry located in Rochdale, an English town close to Manchester, set up a consumer cooperative, which they called the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. The Rochdale Pioneers also established the principles which are to inspire cooperative societies. Principles based on ethical thought, which are still valid today. The Basque Cooperative Movement. The particular characteristics of the Basque Country, a small, uneven territory with a scarcity of natural resources, have given rise to solidarity from very distant times. Neighboring farms got together to look after their livestock and work in the fields on a communal basis, with the practice of a custom known as ausolan. There was a similar system operated by the fishermen on the coast, where they got together in guilds. Later, once the first machines had appeared, these were purchased or rented on a communal basis, as the limited amount of land and its steepness meant that it was impossible to use the new production equipment in a profitable way on an individual basis. Likewise, at the end of the 19th century, the first consumer cooperatives started to appear, together with their paternalist version, the economatos, or company stores. We have to go further forward to see the birth of the first Basque production cooperative, the Alpha Company in Eibar, set up by a small group of firearms manufacturers in 1920. It was some years later, in 1955, that the first cooperative was set up in what was to become the Mondragon Corporation, an outstanding point of reference in the cooperative movement worldwide. Mondragon Corporación Cooperativa. Father José María Arizmendiarrieta was the inspiration and driving force behind the Mondragon cooperative experience, which has today become the Mondragon Corporación Cooperativa. In 1941, he was posted to Mondragon, a town in the province of Guipúzcoa, which was suffering from the painful aftermath of the Spanish Civil War. Poverty, hunger, and vengeance. Arizmendiarrieta, inspired by the social doctrine of the church and to a large extent protected because he was a priest, was to find solutions to mitigate this situation based on solidarity. With his extraordinary pragmatism, in 1943, Arizmendiarrieta set up the Professional College, the embryo of the University of Mondragon, and a breeding ground for a skilled workforce for the local companies. In 1955, a group of students from the college, encouraged by Arizmendiarrieta, set up the first cooperative enterprise, Ulgor, today Fagor Electrodomésticos. It was the Experience's pioneering company, and in its wake, numerous worker cooperatives were then set up, mainly in the Mondragon area. All of them were concerned with the social transformation of the community. "50 years on, the Mondragon Corporación Cooperativa, with trade names of recognized prestige, such as Eroski, Caja Laboral, Fagor, Irizar, Orona, and Ulma, is the leading business group in the Basque Country and the 7th most important in Spain, and a point of reference for the cooperative movement worldwide." An experience based on solidarity. Although the achievements of the Mondragon Corporation in the business world are a milestone in world terms and are proof of the capability and spirit of those who have played a central role, this success would not have been possible without the human and economic cover which our solidarity-based system, based on our basic principles and corporate values, has provided us with over the last 50 years. Principles and values include different ethical and operational concepts which define the character of our cooperative experience and form the backbone of a specific cooperative identity. Some of them belong to the universal cooperative heritage and others are the result of our own experience. Basic principles. Our organization is open to anyone. There shall be no discrimination on the grounds of religion, politics, kinship, ethnic background, or sex. All members have equal rights, which mean a democratic organization. One person, one vote. Labor as the main transformer of society, and therefore essentially deserving of the distribution of the wealth produced. The value of capital is recognized as a necessary instrument for development, but always subordinate to labor. The democratic nature of a cooperative implies the participation of its members in the management of the company. With payment of labor in accordance with the actual possibilities of each cooperative and based on solidarity, both inside the corporation and in its social environment. Promoting the synergies derived from the overall size, the pooling of profits, and the transfer of worker members. With an influence on the community through the creation of new cooperative jobs and support for community initiatives. solidarity with all those working for social democracy, sharing the objectives of peace, justice and development inherent to the international cooperative movement. With human and economic resources earmarked for cooperative and business training. The Mondragon cooperatives identify with these principles through their corporate values. As owners and workers, we consider the company to be ours and experience its problems and successes as things that affect us personally. A commitment to management is the essence of the corporation's socio-business model and involves everyone's participation in management, capital and profits. Implies personal development in harmony with the company, the improvement of the local community where our solidarity lies, and respect for the environment. With a comprehensive concept of innovation covering management models, processes and products. It provides value for our customers and strengthens the competitiveness of our businesses. The MCC's social commitment. The Mondragon Corporación Cooperativa's social commitment, based on its own principles and values, is expressed especially in constant job creation. As a result of its business dynamism, in assistance for training and education, and in a significant contribution to local development and maintaining institutions. Likewise, the Mondragon Corporation provides economic resources through the Education and Promotion Fund. This fund is earmarked for different projects of a social nature, in the fields of education, innovation and culture, for programs in collaboration with NGOs, to back youth employment and other purposes. The future. We look to the future with optimism, and this is why our plans for future expansion are ambitious. The Mondragon Corporación Cooperativa is especially committed to sustained investment, business development, and above all, job creation as a preferential social asset. We also trust that the values that have guided us for half a century are going to remain fully valid, and concepts like solidarity, work and cooperation will continue to make sense at the start of this third millennium, and that they will be useful tools for successfully tackling the challenges of new technologies and new markets in a society that is increasingly more plural and more globalized. The cooperative movement is an affirmation of faith in man, labor and human coexistence.